I need more.
There is no more.
Then I can't ask them to go back.
You've got to.
Guinan, they will die moments after they return. Who is to say that this history is any less proper than the other?
I suppose I am.
Not good enough, damn it! Not good enough! I will not ask them to die.
40 billion people have already died. This war's not supposed to be happening. You've got to send those people back to correct this.
Hello and good evening, and happy Christmas Eve. Star Trek The Next Generation Season 3, Episode 15. Yesterday's Enterprise first aired back in 1990, but here in 2025 on Live Long and Podcast, we're just getting started. Whether you're joining us live on YouTube, Twitch, or Facebook, or catching the audio version wherever you get your podcasts, our mission to rewatch every episode of TNG continues. One courtroom drama. No, actually, not actually that. One alternate timeline and one glass of prune juice, at a time. Now, here's the guy who's always thinking, it's not good enough, damn it. Not good enough. I'm your host, Dave Mader. And we got a great panel here to break down this classic Star Trek episode. First, he's watching the alternate timeline unfold like a geopolitical powder keg, tracking every shift in the Federation Klingon tensions and every tactical choice Picard makes in the war he was never meant to fight. It's Adam Woodward.
I'm very happy to be here tonight. This is one of my favorite episodes of all of Star Trek, right from the beginning, 1960s to now.
Yeah, so say we all, I believe. But we'll see. We'll see if there's any discourse on it. Welcome, Adam. Coming in next, she's locked onto the emotional shockwave of Tasha Yar's return, the weight of a life restored, the tragedy of a timeline gone wrong, and the courage it takes to choose your own fate. Stylish, sharp, and tuned into the heart of the story, it's Heather Narduzzi.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to this festive edition. I'm so excited to talk about this one. Love this episode. Everybody in the comments is saying the same thing. Fantastic episode, and I'm so excited to get into it.
Yes, I am as well, Heather. We had to actually, push some of the Live Long and Podcasters away tonight because there were so many clamoring to come on and talk about this. But rounding our panel tonight, he's studying the shadows of the darker universe, this militarized bridge, the hardened crew, the moral compromises of a wartime Starfleet. If reality bends, he's already mapping the fracture lines. It's Justin Velociraptor.
Good evening, Captain. Happy to be here for this one. I think I can speak for everybody, apparently, when I say this is also one of my favorites.
I think that might be a thing we keep echoing over and over again. Welcome, Justin. He ain't afraid of no ghost. And we're going to be breaking down this episode. Of course, spoilers if you haven't seen yesterday's Enterprise. The 63rd episode overall of Star Trek The Next Generation that aired originally on February 19th, 1990. So there's a lot of writers involved here. The story by Trent Christopher Ganino and Eric A. Stillwell, but the teleplay by 4 writers, very unusual for a Star Trek script. It's got Ira Stephen Bear, Richard Manning, Hans Beimler, and Ronald D. Moore. So some major heavyweights of the Star Trek writing world to break this all down. So yeah, this is, if you don't know, this is the episode where the Enterprise is investigating a temporal rift that kind of pops out of nowhere. The Enterprise D then all of a sudden encounters the Enterprise C, which a ship we had never seen up until that point, thrown 22 years into their future, which alters history. And now all of a sudden the Federation is at this brutal war with the Klingon Empire, and Tasha Yar is alive. Worf's gone. Deanna Troi is gone. That's never really explained. Guinan is still there, but it's a different Enterprise. It's a different version of a lot of these characters, where she only through her intuition is able to detect these changes in the timeline, and her ability to convince Picard to like try to undo what's happened here, even though for him it's just normal. This is just how reality has been for all these years. So we're gonna break down this whole episode. We'll get through the screenshots and things, but always, I know we all like the episode, but maybe some high-level thoughts on what you got out of this rewatch. Maybe we'll start with Heather first.
I always love this episode. We get so many classic lines. Prune juice, a warrior's drink. Mm-hmm. Let's make sure history never forgets the name Enterprise. That gives me chills every time. I was listening to it in my car as I was running errands today, and still I was like, oh, I won't forget the name Enterprise. So good.
Let history never forget.
That's right. And we have, of course, a wonderful guest star in Christopher McDonald at the peak of his youth and hotness. And there's some real chemistry between him and Tasha. And we have Rachel Garrett, Guinan in her amazing costumes looking terrific. And just like the gravity of it all. And I know not everybody's a fan of timey-wimey stuff, but this is light on the timey-wimey and heavy on the drama.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree completely. Like for me, it was very cinematic watching it. I'm like, it's a normal 45-minute episode or so, but man, they get a lot in this 45 minutes. It feels like a film. Justin, do you have any thoughts on that? Like how this episode still resonates, through all the years later?
I love this one because it really takes the meaningless random violence death of Tasha Yar and gives her the proper send-off that she deserved. And not only that, but this episode has ramifications for the future of Next Generation. Arguably, you could say all of the rest of the Treks after this. And if you play Star Trek Online, it has severe ramifications for the storyline in that game as well.
Oh, don't get me started. You can get me started.
This to me is like a keystone episode that if this episode didn't exist, so much of Trek would be different. Like Guinan as a character would be so different. The future of the Romulan Empire, especially when we get into things like Star Trek Online.
Well, even Sela as a character, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is basically born from this episode indirectly, or directly.
And we get more Denise Crosby because of this episode. So I'm thumbs up for that.
And the fact that Denise Crosby, she dies in season 1, and to bring her back 2 years after they killed off her character, and we know she's gonna die, and there's a lot of drama that's built in for the audience here because we already know Tasha, right? But this is a kind of a different Tasha, so love all that. Adam, anything you want to add into all this in terms of why this episode works?
Justin, you said it for me. For me, number one, bringing Tasha back and having a death that was much better than the original. It's like she didn't even belong in the first season. They could have somehow brought her in as a guest character, and then this happened. I don't know, but it was really good. It was I love so much about this episode. I love the transition when they start seeing the Enterprise C come through, and then the bridge changes light level, and the uniform changes, and then they pull away, and Worf is replaced with Tasha. That is so cool.
Norman is saying the same thing in the comments. I like the effects for the time universe change. It was amazing. And how many times I've seen this episode? Like, I don't know how, like 10, 20, 30, 40 more, probably by now. And it still gives me chills every time I see it. The story is fantastic. They just knocked it out of the park. And Dave, you're right. 45 minutes, man, they packed it. It was good.
it feels like a movie to me, you know, and
Yeah.
it's not. It's better than some of the other. It's better than some of the Star Trek movies. It's you know, outright, in my opinion.
It's the first time we get to see Wesley in a Starfleet uniform.
Yes.
Is this the first time? Love it.
Yeah, he's always in his sweater or his gray
And he looks
acting
mature. He
ensign's
looks the
uniform.
part in this. Like he does. He looks like an officer. You know.
Yes, they've got the bouffant and like the
He's
sideburns.
clean cut.
Mhm.
Well, you,
There's-
Wesley, trim those sideburns.
I told you to trim those sideburns.
Teen
The other
idol.
thing that I really
Wesley
liked too was
Crusher.
the fact that it's not going well for the Federation. Like they're not winning, and you know it seems weird. You know, in Next Generation at this point in its career in its life cycle, that they're not number one. So that was really interesting too. And then the numbers, like 40 billion people or whatever, 4 billion people. It's a lot of people have died. This war is major.
It's like just the whole thing with that, and the fact that they have to go back to protect the Klingons, even though that's who they've been at war with, right?
Mhm.
All these years later, and the Romulans involved. It's a really just compelling script in so many ways.
Now, one more thing. You know, I did have the opportunity to watch it again late last night, even though I was not going. I'm not planning to do it because I know it very well. But I did watch, and I found one thing that annoyed the crap out of me, and it was Riker. I don't think when they pulled out other key cast members, I don't think they needed him because all he did, he gave stupid lines. He pointed out the obvious. If we lose containment of the ship's going to blow up, you idiot.
Well, what's one thing that I think it's interesting that they do in this episode with Riker and Picard in particular is in this alternate timeline where they're at war. Like Picard and Riker are not like they're almost at odds with each other. Like they don't seem to get along on a personal level at all. Like they're professionally working together, but it's interesting that like Picard still has Riker as his first officer in this timeline. And that he has a lot of the same senior officers that he does in the other one, but not all.
It would have been interesting if they had put somebody else in, like somebody we didn't know.
Or even like Data's the first officer or somebody like that.
Yeah.
You know, if you do something different like that. Although, Riker's just always like, Picard, you suck. You know, it's kind of like the vibe you're getting from him in this episode largely, or and Picard is not quite the Picard we know either.
No, and every decision Riker makes or every order he gives, either Picard
he countermands it. Belay that. He's like, belay that. Don't do that. And
the one thing that really gets me is when Riker takes the weapons, and the shot's really interesting because you got Picard like by the way, the bridge is really cool now with the stairs and how it's all laid out very differently. But having Riker right behind him, there's a hedge, and he just, if we lose antimatter containment, thanks, Captain Obvious.
Don't forget the uniforms also get an update here, or an alternate timeline, which they're very similar to the TNG era, but it's not a Mandarin collar. It's kind of more of a, I don't know, like a turtleneck, I guess. The cuffs are like black instead of just the color extending all the way down, and they have these belts,
those sashes, yes,
the strappy bits,
like so the enlisted people or the people in like the old uniform, like they have like the strap that goes across the chest, whereas like the senior officers only have this belt, but they all have phasers just to emphasize that this is a wartime crew, something that we never really saw even like in like the Kirk era, where they were definitely more at odds with the Klingons in that time. They never quite went with this. So yeah, there's just a lot to like take in, and a lot is not explicitly explained to you. They don't have time to do that. So you're like, it asks the audience to like kind of just fit, okay, like where am I going? I don't know, Adam, if you recall watching this the first time, like it aired. Like
I do, and I remember like it takes you places, like you have to figure this out as it goes. They're not telling you everything. This is what was so great about this episode, because the time, they only had 40 minutes, so they're expecting you to know backstories. They're expecting you just to go with it.
Yeah, and it works. And like I think the audience, the Star Trek audience is, I think, a smarter audience largely, and doesn't need a lot completely spelled out for them, as long as it's not completely ludicrous or not explained. So,
but I mean, imagine, we haven't seen Tasha for years now, and she's back. Like this was like what?
Right. And considering like she kind of left on somewhat rocky terms, at least with like the
Nobody was satisfied with how she left.
yeah.
And she wasn't the best character, and she was written very poorly in that first season.
She
Well,
was.
Yeah. Like I would
I
say
think
most of the
that-
characters.
What we were talking about just now with the the fast-paced dialogue, they're not doing any exposition. They expect you to figure it out and know what's happening. I think that really contributes to the tight cinematic feeling of the episode, because sometimes when we get episodes where there's a lot of exposition, it drags,
Mhm.
and this episode just leaps off the screen.
Yeah.
And it just reinforces for me is like some of the stuff that we're watching today that's an hour 10, an hour 20 sometimes is just a lot of filler for stuff we just don't need. Like and they did such a great job back then. And the other thing I got to say is that this was live TV, so you couldn't go back and watch what just happened. You had to be in the moment.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And the only
There's
thing
an interesting
Go ahead.
observation from the Sarge. As soon as the time shift is made, we hear Picard talking in a lower voice register, almost to acknowledge the mirror universe.
And they also, I mean, this isn't fun facts, but I'll say it now. They increase the ambient noise also.
Really?
the ship is louder.
Louder, yeah. There's
It's-
a lot more announcements
the-
now.
the-
Hear this, and
But
make it
like the
really-
doors, like they have that old like original series sound instead of
Yes.
like the sound
I
we're
did
accustomed
notice
to.
some different sounds. And did you notice Guinan's wearing something slightly different?
Yes.
She's wearing
Yeah.
purple in the start and end in the real universe, and she's wearing blue
Blue in the middle.
in the middle
In
in
the-
the,
yeah, which-
off universe.
Right. And 10 Forward feels very different as
It
well.
does.
That set. It's more
It's
like a
just so
cafeteria.
busy. Everything's busy. Like they're always everybody's working all the
There's
time.
way more extras
Yeah.
like in the background. They did a great job on so many levels with that.
Mm.
And as far as I understood, like they had to really kind of like work around Whoopi Goldberg's schedule because she was a big star at this time. Like she was in a lot of movies and different things. And like the fact that they got her in here for such a great role, is really stellar.
But she did a terrific job. She was arguably the biggest movie star in the world at that time.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah.
like she was about, like, I think she wins the Oscar for Ghost like this year or the next year. So it's-
Next Gen started in 87 and Ghost was 91. So she was like very close to winning.
so she hasn't
that.
even done Ghost yet, but like
Yeah.
at this point, but
When were what were the nun movies where she was singing the
Sister Act, those are after. So
Okay.
but I guess I guess
Those are so good though.
like The Color Purple, I guess would have been one of her big film roles up until this point. And
Color Purple was 98, wasn't it? 98.
no, it's in the 80s.
Yeah. 88, I would say.
Oh, sorry, I was thinking of Beloved. Pardon me.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, she's great in it.
This is a good catch too. Norman says she wears the same blue in Redemption Part 2 when she explains to Picard the existence of Sela.
Oh yes.
Oh.
Nice.
Fun facts with Norman.
Yeah.
said-
You
you
call
said
Adam's
that.
fake, Norman?
Thank you. I think Sam was asking if this will be our last podcast of 2025. Somewhere he asked on here. Is this last TNG? I believe it will be, Sam. Yes, we are doing a radio theater next week.
We also have For All Mankind next Monday, right?
Right. We'll do For All Mankind on Monday, and then if we do TNG, we'll probably do it New Year's Day, if at all, that week. So, but that still has to be worked out. But speaking of radio theater, like the other thing I love about this episode, when we first started Star Trek Radio Theater as a proper thing, like this was the very first episode we did. When it was just at that time, it was just me, Jane, Ashley, and Jeff, and we were all passing around the roles, right? And that was like some of the first magic we ever had doing it. Then we did it again. We did it like again the next year with a bigger cast at that time, where we had Michael Chan and Tom Tyrell in there, and Kevin was involved, and Adam was Data in that production. That was we were just getting to know you at that point, still, Adam.
Mhm.
So like that was a lot. Every time we did it was fun. Like I know this episode just from having done it twice, like in performance, it's probably one of my in terms a real special episode for me in that sense. So really happy to talk about this one years later after we'd had all that radio theater greatness. So we're going to jump into it now and talk about this episode. And the scene with the prune juice is how this starts off. in an episode where we're saying like they got so much into this episode, there's so much happening, and it feels like they don't have time for a scene like this, which doesn't advance the plot really, other than to establish like Guinan, who she is in this universe, and like the Worf, a Klingon, is serving in Starfleet. I think that's why the scene exists in this episode. This, like, in some ways, it feels like the scene could be in almost any episode, but and it also kind of bookends the episode when Guinan will then sit down with Geordi at the end of the episode to talk about Tasha Yar at this almost exact same table, if not the same table. Anyway, but we know this this opening. Why isn't this not rotating? Hold on. My pictures are not rotating yet. Just need to open the slideshow. There we go. All right. Don't know what that was about. Anyway, Guinan brings him the prune juice. Now, I don't know. Is like, was there a stigma with prune juice at this time, or is it just the same thing as always, that this is kind of an old man's drink for people with bad digestion?
I've never drank prune juice, and I don't think I have. Like, it just seems gross to me. So yes, it's a stigma.
It's a stigma, yeah. Like that seemed to be like the thing here. She's like, it's an earth drink, prune juice. He tries it and goes, a warrior's drink. It's glorious. Loves it. She's like, well, maybe you should try having some companionship, dating some crewmates. And he thinks this is, some of them might find you tame, and he laughs like with his great laugh here. Ha ha ha.
I love this scene. Do we think that Guinan was like flirting with Worf?
No,
I think she was.
I don't think so.
I think more matchmaking,
think so?
Potential matchmaking, I think. But or
I don't know. I don't think she was at first, but then she said like some would find you tame.
Yeah.
I think she meant.
Well, maybe she meant maybe she would if it was her, but I don't know if she's actually going for herself here, per se. But
No, look at that face though.
Yeah,
she's so young then. Look at her.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
She looks terrific, glowing. What a beauty.
Look at Nick.
Worldline says it was the 90s. Prune juice and broccoli were the hated health foods.
Right.
Although he did say Prince juice. So
Bring up Nightwing's comment, please.
Prune juice, because nothing says honor like regularity.
That's right. It's nothing more honorable to your digestive tract than some prune juice. But
You schedule a battle to it, I can't do it right now.
Yeah.
Bathroom break. No, now I can fight.
Worf says he's only concerned in terms of his companionship with the safety of his fellow crewmates. He doesn't want to injure them. He needs a Klingon woman, etc. But we know that's not completely true. You just need like Jedzia Dax was his wife, and she was able to keep up with his rough style, I suppose, if you will. Anyway, just as they're having this conversation around the prune juice, though, they get interrupted by what's at the window. It's the temporal vortex, and Worf gets called to the bridge. We get this like little moment here where Guinan keeps looking out the window, and she's just staring at the temporal vortex, and then she just goes, no, and you're like, what is that? Like, it's so ominous. It's like this great moment of, she's like, no, it can't be. And you're like, what is Guinan detecting? How she can do this is never explained. Maybe it's better that they never explain it, but it works well in this episode, which takes
I think it's better when they don't explain stuff like this, because we don't need an explanation. We don't need to know why she can do it. I don't think it's important to the overall story. She can. We don't need to waste any time with the why, because it's metaphysical. It's inexplicable.
Yeah, sometimes answers are not as good as the questions in the first place, but and there's even a line here from Data in this episode where he's like, there's many things about her species we don't understand. I think that's in the alternate timeline, but anyway, as the Enterprise D comes up on this vortex, Picard and the crew here are trying to get a reading on it, but they're not detecting much. It's there, but not there. Is Riker will kind of push on Data here in this opening scene, and as Data's like, well, we've never seen anything like this before. It's pretty weird. Troy present here, but she says nothing. She has no lines. She's basically an extra. But then Worf gives the line, well, there's something coming through. A ship is coming through, and as Picard is looking out the window, we see this ship emerge. And it's a ship we've never seen before, and well, we'll get a closer up look at here. I love the design of the Enterprise C. I think it's a really good starship design. It gets a lot of like negativity in Star Trek.
Tighter. It's just a tighter, more compact version.
Yeah, it's meant to be like a cross between like the Excelsior and the Galaxy, and sort of have aspects of both, and to kind of be that missing era. But anyway, as Picard is looking on the view screen, we get that great transition, which I think Norman was calling out, and some of the others in the comments, that goes into this like almost like a Dark Mirror kind of a vibe, where we see all of a sudden it's still Patrick Stewart, but
go back. This is really cool how because look what they did with his lines in his face and everything. He made him look like a little more.
Oh yeah, like the lighting's different, but it's also like his skin looks different.
I mean, he's fighting a war. It's very different, right?
Yeah, you come over here and he just looks more like a
Tired.
bulldog.
You're right. His like the creases in his face are more pronounced. He's
got
lit
that
from the
going
top,
on,
which increases the shadows in his face.
Yeah. Like there's like, even if the uniform stayed the same, you would notice these big differences. Although I used to like this collar more. No, I'm not so sure, but anyway, then he looks over, he goes, "Lieutenant, is that an enemy vessel?" And it's not Worf there anymore. It is now Tasha Yar, Denise Crosby. Her, for her first comeback since her character died. So another amazing, like, sort of what the hell is going on here, and Picard just looks out the window, and as we head down to 10 forward, we're now with Guinan in a different outfit, as was pointed out, different color here, so it's very similar, but a little different. 10 forward, now more of a cafeteria, a busy place. We're seeing these differences in the uniforms. So alternate Guinan saying this isn't right, just as Prime Guinan was earlier, and we see that Enterprise C emerge, and we don't, like, as the audience, we don't quite know on the first view what this is about, but Tasha Yar reads off the registry. It is NCC NC01C.
Can I just point out, go back one? So women's slicked back hair is the mirror universe equivalent of men's goatees.
Is that what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
I actually kind of like her hairstyle like this compared to how she wore it in season 1. But it's a choice. But
She looks great.
Yeah. Whereas, she didn't really use any kind of product in her hair before that. Anyway, so but that ship was destroyed 20 years ago. I think that line comes after the credits, but that is our cold open. Basically, it's the Enterprise C. It's got to be one of the best cold opens in all of Star Trek, because it's just so much happens. You got that prune juice scene. All of a sudden, another ship comes through. All of a sudden, Tasha Yar's back. What the hell is going on? If you're not sticking around for after the credits, you got to wonder what's wrong with you, because you got to get back into this one.
So imagine this is airing live and you've missed that, and you come in after the cold open. Like,
did I miss anything in the cold open? Oh, did you? Yes. Oh boy, and we get to see after the credits, like a kind of a close up here of the Enterprise C. We see that registry number, and a ship we had never seen before, and then up until this point, we had not seen the Enterprise B either. We won't see that till Star Trek Generations, but this idea that the choice to make the starship of Star Trek: The Next Generation the Enterprise D, implying there were these other enterprises in between Kirk and Picard, right? So a real cool idea here, especially for a show that avoided tying back to original series as much as possible. That was one of the mandates of Next Generation, was trying to avoid anything original series, which this isn't. So it's pretty cool. Seeing that Enterprise C, still love it. And the Enterprise D looks mostly the same in this, but I don't know, they shoot it to look a little bit more textured, I guess.
It does look a little bit different. So I was wondering if maybe they did something to like you said, it's textured on the outer part of the saucer section. I wonder if they just like painted over that part on the model or something to make it look just a little bit different temporarily.
Or they're using a filter just to make
yeah.
make that contrast pop out a bit more.
Mhm.
But yeah, but the Enterprise does feel the Enterprise D rather, it does feel a little bit different in this episode on the exterior as well, although it's subtle. And then of course we've mentioned this bridge looks so differently. They have like these other stations on the side that don't exist in the main continuity. Although this looks a lot like the bridge we saw in Star Trek Generations, like the new version of the Enterprise D right before they blew it up in that movie. So yeah, they have the
Look at the handsome young ensign at the
he's got a uniform now.
Yeah, look at his
he
pip.
looks so good, wonderful. I've read in Will Wheaton's blog and essays and such that because he was in like Teen Beat magazine and everything, the cast members jokingly, like warmly, teasingly called him Teen Idol.
Well, that's all right because I love that story.
Look, he was a big star, though. I mean, you had
He absolutely was. Yeah,
like, Stand By Me was huge.
And this show was big, right?
Yeah,
especially at this point. So everything going well for him here. So yeah, there's this whole thing with Data.
What do we think of the belts? Do you like the Mirror Universe belts?
I don't hate them.
I'm glad they're not a part of the regular uniforms, but I think they do give Mirror Universe. I love it when they have just like a little bit of flash to differentiate.
Yeah, I think it's weird a little bit that like they don't have like that shoulder strap like the rest of them do. Like that was a decision not to give them that, but they gave all the background characters that. So I don't know. I used to think this uniform was better. Now I kind of like the main continuity uniform, but
I like
the lines on these uniforms are clean.
I
like the belt for this episode, but yeah, I agree. I'm glad it's not a regular part of.
I like the whole like Starfleet Delta that kind of goes to the side there. That's like a nice little touch on the belt.
I do like what they did to the bridge though. Like they made that platform up higher now,
and there's no chair for Riker anymore. He has to just stand behind. So. Anyway.
Maybe that's why he's so contrary in this episode. He's tired. He's
tired of not being. When will I get a chair, Picard? He's like, when you earn a captain's one.
Here to step over. Come on, Captain.
Exactly. Anyway, so they're figuring out this is the Enterprise C. It's sending out a distress call, which Picard then listens to. But he's already thinking about timeline and temporal prime directive and all these kinds of implications. Because Riker's like, let's go over there and help them, and he's like, nope. Let's not do that.
Delay that order.
Right. Well, you just see like, I know you're getting frustrated that Riker has like seemingly the wrong suggestion, but ultimately Picard will go with Riker's suggestion here to send people over. He just has to work it out.
Oh, I'm not frustrated. I just find him a useless character in this show.
Well, and this version of Picard does a lot to like sort of like make him ineffectual and say later on he'll be like, I'm not looking for your opinion, Riker. I'm just here to inform you, and so the relationship is this is not explicitly explained. It's you can pick up on that they're not quite the same two people in this version that we know, but they're kind of anyway. So Picard says, well, this is Captain Picard of a Federation starship. We're going to send people over to help you. So Riker is allowed to do what he initially wanted to do, go over to see if we can help with any survivors. The lighting on the bridge is perfect. Who else loves? I love the sea. I love the sea a lot. I think it's a beautiful design. I think it's interesting. Even their version of the uniform, which is like it's the Wrath of Khan uniform, but it's got some subtle differences. Like no belt, and it doesn't have like the turtleneck and things like that. Something we hadn't quite seen up until this point. So when they beam over to the Enterprise C bridge, it's in shambles. Most of the crew are dead. But they got those flashlights you love, Adam, with the away team. So that's good.
They're very effective.
They're very effective.
Just so you know, I think these are the most ineffective things in the history of Star Trek.
Maybe of all technology.
Yeah. They're weird hand flashlights.
Yeah, but they
there's such a dumb shape. You can't even. Adam's so upset.
He's so I got to trigger him, but I
want to see you. You're gonna have to it's like my dad. Hold the light for me because he can't do anything without
Yeah, without someone holding it for you. Yeah, like a headlamp. It hadn't been imagined yet. It was the 90s. They didn't know yet. as they head over here. Anyway, they're finding the dead crewman, and they find Captain Garrett, who Riker, says, "Hey, I'm Commander Riker. I'm here to help you." And she's already demanding answers. He can't. She's like,
Tell me now.
Crusher like gives it away. Dr. Crusher's like, "Oh, we need to beam her back to the Enterprise," and she's like, "What ship?" And they're like, "Shut up, don't say that." But Captain Garrett, as much as they're trying to avoid the timeline, because that was one of the orders Picard gave, like, don't tell them where they are, don't tell them when they are. Let's try to keep this on the down low. But Crusher has no choice but to beam back with Captain Garrett to the ship. Geordi says this whole ship is in shambles. I might be able to get life support working soon, but because Riker says if you don't, we got to pretty much abandon the ship sooner than later.
Adam, look at the light right now. Is he shining it right into Geordi's visor?
It's okay. He doesn't see brightness, I don't think. So it's he'll be all right. But yes, he is.
It's so stupid.
Norman says Crusher was never the biggest fan of holding the Prime Directive to the letter in any timeline. How true is that?
True. Very
And
true.
she's a doctor. She doesn't need to.
That's right.
Yeah, that's not her ethical dilemma. Timelines. Then we're gonna find somebody else amongst the wreckage here. It seems like only Captain Garrett is the only bridge officer surviving, but no, there is another. It is Michael McDonald. Is that the actor's name? Right?
No, Michael McDonald was in the Doobie Brothers. Yeah, we'll be there. This is Christopher McDonald.
Christopher McDonald. I'm sorry.
Yes, playing Richard Castillo.
Yes, I don't know how old Richard Castillo is meant to be, but he seems maybe just a little too old. But
he's a lieutenant that never gets promoted. He's like
a Harry Kim. He's not even.
Yamo be there. You got it. That's right,
yeah.
Michael McDonald.
Before we'll get back to Michael McDonald in a second. Not Michael McDonald.
Christopher McDonald.
Christopher McDonald. Anyway,
what do you mean? You think he's too old? Too old for what?
Too old to be a lieutenant junior grade, who's just out of the academy. He just feels like.
Listen, maybe he's a shitty lieutenant.
Well, it's what 22 years in the future. And he says to Tasha, if you see a guy in his late 50s, so he's got to be in his late 30s at this point, mid to late 30s. He's like 35, 36.
Yeah, but what's the lifespan of humans here now?
100 and something years.
Like $120, right? He's just a baby.
Yeah, I guess in terms of like when he plays, even when he's in like Happy Gilmore a few years later, I'm like, this man is old. Like, this is an older man. So
are you crazy? I think he looks so fresh and young and handsome in this episode.
He does, but then everything I saw him in after this, he seemed like so much older. So like this was as youthful.
You're just a wee baby, Dave.
I'm just a wee baby.
Check out his IMDb page now. Like he's definitely older.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. And I don't know like what the age difference is between him and Denise Crosby, but it feels like a lot for some reason to me. But maybe it's not.
Really?
Anyway, so just back more of this Riker Picard stuff where Riker is talking to Picard on the view screen about and Picard won't even look at him. He's just looking at his pad. He's like recommendations.
He's doing other things.
Yeah, he's too busy. And Riker's like, well, I'd hate to scrap her. We could use another ship, even if she is old. And Picard just cold. He's like, yeah, we'll get the life support back on. If not, we're gonna blow up the ship and leave. All right, bye. And just like these looks that Riker gives them, I love it in this episode. It's a lot done with the face by Frakes. As he's left to kind of get this mess cleaned up. Guinan then shows up on the bridge of the Enterprise, which is unusual in any timeline. For her to do this, and she's like, I need to talk. She could have used the comm presumably to talk to Picard, but this was pretty dramatic. She's like, yeah, I need to talk to you pronto. I got some Elorian intuition to communicate. So a little bit of a transition.
Funny enough, on his IMDb page, he does not have a birth year.
But there must be like a.
I'll have to look somewhere else. Go ahead, Dave. I got it.
Okay, you got it. All right. So this is the first meeting here with Guinan and Picard, where she's saying that things have changed, everything's wrong. And in this conversation, this is not what he gets later, like not good enough, damn it, and all that. That's in the second conversation. But this is where he's like, well, what's changed? He's like, I don't know exactly. Things like the ship
some stuff.
Yeah, like she says things like, this is not a ship of war, this is a ship of peace. This war feels wrong. he goes, what else is different? Like your uniform, the bridge. He goes, what's wrong with the bridge? It's been the same bridge it's always been, but it's not, And so Patrick Stewart does a really good job in this episode.
So
This is a great thing.
was
He
born in
both do a
55.
really good job.
What's that?
He was born in 55, so he's like 45 at this point.
He's 45 years old in 1990.
Sorry,
yeah.
no, he's 50. Yeah,
No.
40.
No, he can't be. 40.
He's coming up in 40.
35.
He looks like an old 40.
Do you think so? Well,
Hold on. We'll get to his screenshots. We'll critique how old or isn't he in that episode. But that's just my impression. But I also thought Picard was like 90 years old back at this time too. So I now I'm quickly approaching the age he is in this episode, and it's freaking me out. So because I think
I love his reaction in this one when she tells them they're supposed to be kids on the ship.
Yeah, he's like, she's like, this should be children. He's like, children on the Enterprise? Guinan, we are at war. And she's like, no, we're not, but we're not supposed to be. I also love
exactly, Norman.
Family should be on the ship, but I don't like children. That wouldn't happen. And like I love this little like map behind Guinan here too in this room,
great,
like with like the Klingon and the Starfleet things. We're told that this is
map.
war. It's like a nice little touch, that really helps the episode feel like what it is. Anyway, so then we get Captain Garrett down in sick bay being treated by Dr. Crusher when Picard comes in, and I think the actress who plays Rachel Garrett is great as well. Like she's another huge part of why this episode works for me. It must not have been easy. Like we need to cast another Enterprise captain who's only going to be in this thing. They're going to kill her off like part way into this too. But like she does a great job. It was nice, I guess, in a sense that they included her in that Section 31 movie later on. Just but
what Section 31? I'm not.
I don't know.
Maybe
Maybe we should forget about that. So anyway, but she starts asking.
I was so Norman has been mentioning this in the comments as well, but not with blue hair. We talked at length about how disappointing the Section 31 movie was, but what a shame that they didn't use Rachel Garrett more, because she's such a cool character and they could have done so much with her. She was great in this episode.
Yeah, and like they've talked about, like, I don't know, like there's been talks about Rachel Garrett Enterprise C show or something for a long time. It's never come to pass, but like works really well in this episode. She starts pressing Picard for answers. What ship is this? What's wrong with your uniform? Like, have you not heard of a sedative? Dr. Crusher, just like maybe keep the time traveler under, but they don't do that. So Picard's like, well, I think partly because based on his conversation with Guinan already, he tells her, like, this is the Enterprise D. You've come 22 years into the future. The one thing I always do think about in particular in this scene is these two are meeting each other. And Picard was a captain 22 years ago, right? Like of the Stargazer in the timeline. I not let every captain in Starfleet, but doesn't it always feel like Picard knows every admiral and other captain in the fleet? Like, and this is like the one captain he didn't know at this time. That or at least knew of her. Like the Enterprise C would have been the flagship of its time. So you would think that he would at least have heard of her. Maybe he has, but maybe she never heard of him. The guy who, I don't know, created the Picard maneuver and beat that Ferengi guy. Oh, I guess that hasn't happened yet. Anyway, but she's been revealed. The crew needs to be told. And so then we get Christopher McDonald. He's reacting kind of the proxy for the rest of the Enterprise C crew, saying 22 years. I can't believe it. Such a long time.
The only thing that I found rang a little bit false in this episode is that he just switched gears so fast from everyone I know is probably dead. The timeline's all screwed up. A bunch of my shipmates are dead. This is terrible. What are we going to do? Anyway, do you want to show me around the ship?
Yeah. Like, can you tell me about the tactical training? That kind of gets me going, So,
yeah.
But they
especially since she was giving him nothing at that point. She wasn't even looking at him.
Yeah, exactly.
But I mean, you got to shoot your shot when you get your chance. You might all die in a Klingon incursion tomorrow. So let's go.
He felt like kind of like he's from the Kirk era, kind of like, like this may be my last day. I got to try to get a date, and he's going to go for it. Even though in his timeline, like Tasha would be like 6 years old. But here in the present, I guess she's a grown up, so they can have a romantic relationship. Maybe a little weird, but who cares?
It's not weird. They're grown. They're both grown and beautiful.
Well, there you go. Yeah. Anyway, so, she's like, how do you know your family's not still alive? He goes, yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe they are, and then, you can just see him like eyeing her up already. Like, sure, all my friends are dead. Sure, this war with the Klingons is terrible. And we barely skipped with our lives from those Romulans. But hello, Tasha Yar. I like that hair. That is looking good. Anyway, then the next scene on the bridge of the Enterprise D is with Data and Picard, where Data explains that like the temporal vortex, it's kind of two ways. You can fly back into it just the way you came out of it, but it's not going to last forever. So Picard says to Data, like, so if they were to go back through, do you think they could survive? And Data's like, no, like definitely not. Nah. But Picard is already kind of I think he's accepted Guinan's initial argument, and this idea of like, this is not a ship of war, this is a ship of peace. I think that's really resonating with Picard through the episode, right? He's unlike most of the other crewmen here, like he can remember when Starfleet wasn't at war in this timeline. Like,
I think the lighting in this, like we were saying earlier, and the lines in his face and everything, he presents as a much more, especially when later in the episode, when he takes Rachel Garrett into his confidence and tells her how the war is actually going. He is he gives a lot of war weariness in this episode. By his tones, like by his dismissals of Riker, by like even the lighting and the lines on his face, like you can tell that he's sick and tired of this war, especially because, like you said, he's been a captain for so long that he would remember what it was like before the war started. Like he joined Starfleet at the time when it was still exploration, before it flipped to this survival mode that they're in right now.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's like all that really works here. Every time I watch this, I'm still entertained by it, for those different things you can look into. So anyway, then sometime later, it's more of Tasha Yar and Castillo. This is where they come to the sick bay to brief the captain.
Wait, go back one. It's the slushies. We found the sick bay slushies again.
They exist in every timeline, everyone. Like that cannot be undone by some Klingon war or some event not happening. That would exist everywhere. Yeah. So this is Lieutenant Junior Grade Castillo. He's the last surviving member.
Lower decks.
Right. Like Tasha Yar outranks him.
You know what? Yeah. You could have taken a couple of times to use a wet nap on the face.
Yeah, I could have
right.
Maybe stop by the bathroom and just wash up just a bit. Have a sonic shower. But he's working away. He's working hard here. So Captain Garrett. Like she's getting the briefing here, like talking to Tasha Yar, and then she tries to get up, and like Dr. Crusher doesn't have a lot to do in this episode, but I really like the scene here between Dr. Crusher and Captain Garrett because the chirps they give each other here, where Crusher says captains always push themselves too hard, or medical officers are overly too cautious. I think Captain Garrett says, and Crusher says captains push themselves too hard. But it's a nice little dialogue they have here, a couple of quick lines, but it kind of gives us also a real sense of who Captain Garrett is, like what you would expect a captain to be like. And Crusher just rolling her eyes at the whole thing.
Which is very much the same. We've seen the same scene play out between Crusher and Picard, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's insisting to push through, and she's like, I can order you off duty. And then he doesn't listen. It's I think somebody said in the comments as well, Captain Garrett must save ship, get to my duty trope. We see that with captains a lot. So Crusher gets to do that with Yet another captain who won't listen to her.
Yeah. Well, at least she's suited for the role.
But she's right, though. 24 hours, like, she's saying rest for 24 hours. My God, that's a day in this.
Yeah. She's like,
Yeah.
no, there's no way. But, the doctor has to be the doctor and the captain's got to be the captain. So
Of
it's
course.
how it goes here. We get the next scene here between Guinan and Picard. And this is where he's like, I need more information. She's like, there is no more. And he's like, can you, like, do you know what you're asking me to do here? Like, who's to say this version of history is any less correct than this one? And she goes, I don't know, me. And he's like, not good enough, damn it, not good enough. I will not. They'll die right away. And her point is like 40 billion people have already died. Is that what I think that's the number she gives? 40 billion, right? Like, this war is not supposed to be happening. That's got to be pretty compelling to Picard too, right? And like, think of all the people he's watched die over the last 22 years, and a chance to undo that here has got to be tempting. Although, I don't know, like the temporal prime directive, temporal law, temporal ethics does, a lot of this can be questioned, just when he says like people of this timeline, people like Tasha Yar is alive in this timeline. She's dead in the other timeline, which is correct, But the Guinan's, she's like, every fiber of my being says this is wrong. You got to undo this. You have to send that ship back, no matter what the cost is, no matter what the ethics. And so Picard has to take, chew on that a bit more. Then down in 10 forward, cafeteria style, we got Tasha Yar telling Castillo about all like the weapons upgrades, all the shield power things that they've been doing during the war. But this is like, I really love this when Guinan comes in and she looks at Tasha, and Whoopi Goldberg really does a great job of just like, oh no, there's something up here. When she, she'll describe later, when I look at you, Tasha, I know something's wrong, that I'm not meant to know you, even though in this timeline they're friends and they have this whole thing. So she orders, she gets like that vibe from Guinan, like, something wrong? She goes, oh no, would you like lunch? Whatever, like ration packs that come out here. I think it's also kind of interesting that Guinan chose to be like not a bartender, but she chooses to be the cafeteria manager on a warship in, like because she doesn't have to do this, but she's choosing to do this. So, in this world, so coming along for the ride. Anyway, she goes to get it. But anyway, so this is where Tasha gets her first unsettled moment. He asks what TKLs are, like the ration packs, as he's explaining those things.
They both look so beautiful here. I find like the chemistry between them just jumps off the screen, and they're both so like, maybe it's like the intense eyes, or I don't know. And the part where he says, I think I'd like you to call me Richard, always gets me.
But then he's like, only my mother calls me Richard. I think I would like you to call me Richard. Like, I always gets me. I'm like, what is that saying? Like, only like
let's not read into that one too far, Dave.
It's not Oedipal, okay?
The Game of Thrones theme starts playing in the background.
Oh no. No, okay. So for me, a lot of you, I'm sure, will notice that I usually have my name set as Narduzzi. It's my last name, right? And most people call me by my last name. Obviously not in my professional life, but in my social life, most people do call me by my last name. So when somebody calls me by my first name, it feels very intimate. So that's why I read that in that way, because he says everybody calls me Castillo, only one person calls me Richard, and I'd like you to call me.
Right. Well, that's I think that's how it's intended for sure. But like, I'm
for
always,
sure. But you have to
things up his mother always is a little off for me. But it's all good. Anyway, they get a call. Like Picard calls Tasha Yar to the conference room next, and so they're having to skip lunch. I also just want to point out Castillo has no comm badge in this scene for some reason, but
he lost it when he was washing his face.
He washed his face, so like he set it down at the sink. Anyway, we get one final look here from Guinan at Tasha as Tasha leaves, just to kind of emphasize this thing that Tasha, like for the audience, Guinan knows that Tasha's not supposed to be here. Where's this going, right? And this is Picard's little briefing where he's not there to get their consent. He's just informing them, but you see like the hands that he's like, he's wringing his hands behind his back. The rest of the senior staff thinks this is a ludicrous idea, whether it's Dr. Crusher, Commander Riker, Geordi LaForge, and Data. They're all like, Tasha doesn't really say much in the scene, but that well, what if we gave them like advanced technology to go back and fight the Romulans? No, we can't do that. That would change timeline. But isn't that what we're doing? Changing time, changing the past. Going back here, but Picard's like, yeah, but I think we got to go based on Guinan's intuition. So I'm going that. Riker's still like, no, this is stupid. Like, what are you doing? If you want my opinion, he's like, yeah, I don't. And Data also points out this idea that like the Klingons hold honor above all things. If a Federation ship was destroyed defending a Klingon outpost from the Romulans, it might have prevented the war. And that is kind of like the key, like how they put all the pieces together here in the exposition.
I think the one negative thing I can say about this episode is that even though it really does a lot to flesh out Guinan's abilities or like mystique as a character, it does kind of pigeonhole in her into the mystical black woman sort trope. Which, I mean, this is the 90s, so we shouldn't be surprised by that at all. But I think that's the only negative thing. Although I think she transcends that as a character if you look at Guinan's whole arc, not including stuff in Picard.
Yeah, if they gave her like a really bad accent, I would get it. But like,
that's the only thing that she's missing is Guinan she doesn't sound like Miss Cleo. That's
right.
But I do think that is something that should be observed.
Not an unfair point. Okay, so then anyway, as the briefing ends, everyone's like, well, who knows what our lives are like in the alternate timeline? Who knows if we're alive or dead, says Geordi. And that line hits Tasha. She's putting the pieces together. Like, that's why Guinan looked at me all weird down there in 10 Forward, right? And she gets onto the turbolift with Data, and she's really kind of like deep in thought. And basically this conversation with Data of like, well, what happens if they succeed? What happens if the Enterprise succeeds? And Data says, we may never know what happens. Like, they might go back and like, we'll forget all these events. It will be like they never happened. Back on the Enterprise C, we got Tasha and Richard Castillo working on the systems. This is where Picard's explaining the situation to Captain Garrett, like why he thinks the Enterprise C needs to go back through the rift, fight the Romulans and everything else. He explains that one more ship in the here and now is not going to make a difference because this war with the Federation, and the Klingons, is going much worse than even like the crew of the Enterprise knows.
This is delivered very well. Like the way he lowers his voice and is talking very, very quietly, and it's such a believable scene. He's talking in confidence to her when there's people running around behind them, and it was great.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I think Patrick Stewart's performance in particular is one of the strongest things in this episode.
I like how it also shows a weaker, like how much weaker than the Klingon Empire Starfleet actually would have been.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Especially this early in Next Generation, Starfleet is like the perfect utopia, and you rarely see it on the negative side of something. Up until this point, and where it really shows that, the Klingons, if they wanted to win a war with Starfleet, a prolonged engagement, the Klingons would likely win.
Yeah,
and it's neat. I don't know. I like that to me adds just a nice little edge to this episode.
Absolutely, yeah. Like this idea, the Federation's not invincible.
Yeah,
even like the Klingon Empire, and like as far as we've been watching TNG for the 3 years at this point, the Klingons are now the friends of the Federation. Like, man, things really must have gone off the rails for this now to be in the situation it is. So Captain Garrett's like, okay, we're gonna go back, and also she expresses that her crew kind of wanted to go back. They didn't like ducking out of the fight. They wanted to finish what they started, and these kinds of ideas. So she says, Mr. Castillo, we are heading back. Inform the crew. And he's like, yes, Captain. We'll give them a great fight, Picard, a fight for the history books. And he's like, oh, I know you will, Captain. I bet I would love to know about that one. So Tasha asked Captain Picard to stay behind for a minute so she can kind of say goodbye to Castillo, make some googly eyes at him, if you will. And he's like, if you ever see an old man in his 50s looking across a table, say hello to me or whatever, But just then they get attacked. The ship is shaking. It's a red alert and battle stations. As they call over to the Enterprise, Captain Picard, you're back on the Enterprise D. Yep, we're ready. We're ready. Here come the Klingons, and they're firing. And one minute later, they are firing on the Enterprise C. This is what will get you every time on a bridge of a ship. Some ominous blast from the ground or from a console. Rocks always come out for some reason. And Captain Garrett is down as the Enterprise D fires back on the Klingon ship, not destroying it, but managing it to get it to kind of run away. And then as Captain Picard calls over to Captain Garrett for a damage report, there's no answer. And as we clip over, we just see the reaction of Tasha and Castillo. And like he can't, like how sad he looks in particular here in this moment. He's like, this is Tasha Yar. Captain Garrett is dead as this news is given. And we look down to see the shrapnel embedded right in her head. So R.I.P. Captain Garrett. She only had like 2 scenes, and she was really, really strong in all those scenes. But that's
not strong enough to get a ninja star in the head.
Yeah, maybe a helmet would be worth investing in the future. Just saying. So anyway, this is then the next scene where Castillo's like, I'm ready to lead the ship back. And I love Riker here. He's like, Lieutenant Castillo is the last surviving member of the crew. He has no tactical. He has no crew. Limited engineering. Whatever. And he's like, well, we're willing to try. We're stupid enough to give it a shot, And Riker's like, surely history never intended for this battle to happen without the captain, with the Enterprise C to go into this battle without its captain. But Castillo's like, Picard, if you want me to go, if you tell me not to go, I won't go. But if you want me to go, I'm definitely going, because that was what the mission was. That's what Captain Garrett wanted. And Picard's like, sold, done. You're all I got. Go. Are you ready? How long can you be underway? He's like, in a couple hours. All right, get on to it. Make it so. And then we get Tasha, coming to the transporter room with Castillo.
I get to spend more time with him, with Richard.
With Richard.
Me and Richard going off to die. Fun.
Yeah, so this is the goodbye, and then we're smooching. We got some kissing going on here, as it's their romance story continues. It is a great romance, like in terms of a 45-minute story where you got 2 characters who never met each other. In Castillo's case, we've never met him before, and this is not quite the exact same Tasha Yar that we know. And
but you buy it, you believe it. Like, I know we've done, especially this season, some love interests where I'm like, why Troy and that loser? Like, why would she even go for
Devanani Rao?
Yeah, whatever his name is, who cares? But like, you buy it with these 2. I'm invested. I want to see them together.
Sometimes there's just chemistry between 2 actors, and like that's what we got here, right?
That's right.
And it's well written, and so they go for it, and and so after he beams away, this is where Tasha Yar says, "I need to talk to the captain." First she talks to Guinan. First she talks to Guinan. I'm surprised for Romance of the Week how well this one works. Definitely no Meridian.
Oh,
no,
God.
Meridian's the worst of all of the romances.
Great.
Yeah. There's somehow when Tasha walks in, Guinan already knows it's her, without even looking, in this scene. Can I get you some?
Good at that.
Yeah, maybe she has strong sense of smell. I don't know, or maybe some other sense. But anyway, so she's like, so Tasha's trying to pull out a Guinan, like, we've known each other for too long, we've been friends, and this is when Guinan says, we're not meant to know each other at all. Like, that's what I sense when I look at you. Like, I don't know. I'm not supposed to know you, but I do know you, because she can remember everything from this timeline, but it's just how she feels, and she goes, well, where am I supposed to be? If I'm not supposed to know you, I'm not supposed to be on the Enterprise. Where am I supposed to be? She goes, dead. You're supposed to be dead. And she goes, well, how? Don't know. I don't have alternate biographies, but I know it was a death without meaning, she says. A death without purpose. Just to really strike it home. Anyway, so this is when Captain Picard is in his ready room, and he's approached by Tasha Yar, who requests a transfer to the Enterprise C. And again, but Patrick Stewart, he's like, what? Like his reaction to this, like one request, he's like, no, like, are you crazy? She's like, well, they need help at tactical. He's like, yeah, we need you here. You're my tactical officer, and we're the Klingons. But she goes, Guinan told me I'm dead. And then he's like, oh, like, clearly something Picard didn't know, but he's like, okay, well, she needed to tell you this. And she makes this whole plea, like I heard, she told me my death will have no meaning. I don't like the sounds of that. At least if I go back, I can buy a few more seconds if they have somebody strong at tactical. There's a practical reason for her to go, not just a sacrifice.
But I love what Picard goes. She felt the need to tell you that, really? Like,
well, she felt the need to tell you, but like sending the ship through, it's not really much different. But anyway, so this is when Picard's like, request granted. Go.
You did. I say you did.
And so he's got to send her through, and this is the fateful decision that will end up leading to Sela coming to be, right? As this version of Tasha Yar will go back and have a kid with a Romulan, Sela, right? That when Guinan has that line in Redemption Part 2, and you sent, or maybe it's Sela who says it, like, you sent her there, you sent her to the past. Mm-hmm. One thing too, so as we head back to the Enterprise C, Castillo's getting his whole like his ship ready. He's got the things. He now has a comm badge, and he uses that old school like Wrath of Khan style comm badge, but he like he is able to tap it, like he used it as a like something that they couldn't do.
He got an upgrade.
They got an upgrade. He also, like, even though they don't have the belt anymore on the uniform, like they now can just attach the phaser, I guess, to some Velcro on your smock instead. And
anyway. Velcro phasers. It was the new innovation of the Enterprise C.
Yeah, it's the 90s. We know about Velcro now, guys. So let's go. So anyway, he's getting these different crew members to like take over the stations. And then Tasha Yar says, reporting for duty. I'm here to help you. And he doesn't want her here. He's like, this is a suicide run. We're going to die. But she's like, show me someone better than me at tactical. And he knows she's the best. So even though he's a lieutenant junior grade, he takes command. It's his ship. And she takes over tactical. And they get ready for this whole thing. Now, can I just say, for this, as much as this episode moves, the Enterprise C takes a friggin' long time to get in this rift. Like because the Klingons are coming. They're coming to attack. They're not even bothered to decloaking themselves, Picard says. And like Riker has this whole line of like, they shouldn't be so confident after the pasting we gave them on Archer 4. And we get that great line, like that speech here from Picard. As you know, my crew, we could outrun these Klingons, but we must stay and protect the Enterprise C. They must succeed. And may the history never forget the name Enterprise. It's great. I'm with you, Heather. It gives you chills.
It's so good. I love it.
Then we got these 3 Klingon, like they're basically upsized bird of preys coming into the battle, attacking on the Enterprise D as they're protecting it. They're getting shaken around 3 against 1. And
Picard, this is the scene right here. Like, look at Riker. It bugs the shit out of me, this picture. Riker.
Riker's taking over tactical because Tasha's not here.
No, but he's so tall. It doesn't fit.
He doesn't have a chair. Where do you want him to go, Adam?
I would be if I was Captain Picard and my first officer was hanging over my shoulder like that, I would be going bonkers.
They can't shoot it exactly the same way because they've raised up Picard's chair so much higher too, right? On that platform.
But
put in the platform.
Like the console is low for Riker because he's such a tall man.
And Picard's chair is higher than like where Worf would normally stand, right? Like, so it's kind of just like a interesting dynamic. Anyway, the battles.
That's interesting. Norman says, I read somewhere an early version of the script had Worf talking to Picard in this scene. He would be captain of one of those warbirds.
Interesting.
Ooh, that would have been neat.
Yeah, that would have been something.
Headcanon accepted.
Yep.
Right. Anyway, we see but we also get to see like what battle time Picard is like, like he's like Sierra, like torpedoes, pattern Sierra, And
I found that in this scene in particular, the way that the bridge is lit is slightly less harsh than the rest of them, and it really reminds me of Deep Space Nine and a lot of the scenes in the more war heavy.
Well, it's kind of like it's almost like when
Dominion
the way the Defiance bridge looks when they go to Red Alert. Also, Voyager's bridge has that same kind of like dark thing when they go to Red Alert. So where the Enterprise D doesn't like normally do that. Like it just has the red lights come on, but the lights don't get dark. Anyway, as I mentioned, the Enterprise C takes like 10 years to go back through this rift, which is coming away as the Enterprise D is getting hammered, trying to protect the other ship. And Geordi's got his hands full. Like they're getting hammered here. They're about to lose antimatter containment, which
as pointed out, the obvious by Riker. There's the scene right there.
And Picard is like, yeah, I know what happens if we lose antimatter.
This isn't the first coolant leak, though, right? There are coolant leaks before this.
No way. This is the first
Geordi
one.
loves
Coolant leak.
Geordi loves his coolant leaks.
He does.
Coolant leak. We got a coolant leak.
This is perhaps the most dramatic of all of the coolant leaks. But you know.
Coolant leak. Bridge, we got a coolant leak in the engine core. I can't shut it down. I estimate 2 minutes to a warp core breach.
And he's like, make that 30 seconds. Actually. But then all of a sudden, like the Enterprise, I don't know, the Enterprise is able to use its phasers here to just to like destroy this Klingon warship just like with one big blast. And I remember the first time I saw that, I was like, whoa, you can do that with one phaser blast? I never knew that.
This was cool, and that other one flew right through that
flies right through the explosion and everything else. You know, and the way Data reports on it, you're like, oh yeah, they're used to blowing up Klingon ships. Like they're battle hardened, this crew. Coolant leak is going off. Geordi's like, we got to get out of here. The Enterprise D crew, they're it's looking pretty dire for them here.
This was a good scene though. Again, they really showed how much they're getting pounded. Like they're just taking it. You know?
Yeah. Like very heroic, right? You know, and he's like, we gotta get out of here. As they're going along, the Enterprise C just about there. And I think this is when the Enterprise D gets hit with like a final attack, and this is where Riker gets killed. He gets when rocks pop out of consoles, like forget it. You're not gonna make it.
Rocks.
Like, what are those? What are they?
You're right, Dave. They do look like rocks.
They literally
space asbestos.
Space asbestos. Riker down for the count.
Exposed to fire.
And Picard looks over and he sees the dead Riker. And he's just kind of like, eh. And then I love how he does like the hop over, like
he hops over like
hops over the tactical console and he starts firing the phasers. And he manages, like they just told me the phasers weren't working like a second ago. They told me they would have to reroute, but I don't know. Picard figured it out pretty quick. He's fighting.
Yeah, maybe Riker couldn't work them.
Yeah, exactly. But Picard's fighting right to the end. It's like the fire all around him in like this final moment as we see the Enterprise D is pretty much on its last legs. And then as the Enterprise C finally makes it through this rift after 10 years of trying to get there, all of a sudden Picard is back to normal. He's not surrounded by fire. And who's behind him?
Bridge is well lit again. And lo and behold, Worf.
Worf's here. Prune juice and all. He's like, I really need to go to the bathroom. That prune juice has gone right through me. And anyway, Data goes, well, whatever was in the rift is gone. Like a ship seemed to come through, but it's not there anymore. So Picard's like, okay, launch a probe, call it a day. And that is like, then Guinan calls up. He's like, hi, it's Guinan. Is everything okay up there? And Picard's like, Guinan calling the bridge? In some timeline, she just comes to the bridge. What? Yeah. And she goes, nope, all good. I'm just checking. Everything's cool. Just give me a shout. And then we see, this is the famous scene here with Geordi LaForge, sits down and he's still wearing the old uniform, like the alternate timeline uniform. You can tell by the
collar. Yeah.
The collar and the cuffs. Like, see how he's got the black around the cuffs?
Oh, yeah. I never noticed that before.
Nice.
Yeah.
Anachronism.
Yeah, exactly. Unless somehow that Geordi LaForge has now crossed over and replaced the other Geordi LaForge.
Shades of Lorca.
Exactly.
The only thing that I wish they would have done is a Geordi roll under the door.
Coolant leak? Yeah, it's not a coolant leak until Geordi rolls under a door. Can we go back to that last screenshot?
This one?
No. Previous one. Yeah, I think it's important that we say the last line of the episode is, Geordi, tell me about Tasha Yar.
Yeah, and
Beautiful. It just wraps it up so nicely and like a very touching moment.
And that there's something that has crossed over from that timeline to this version of Guinan has somehow been affected, right? Like that she would be prompted to ask that while not having those memories of all those events. There's something there. And I just love the way LeVar Burton just kind of turns his head at that question too. You know, he doesn't say anything, but you know, he's like, well, as a matter of fact, I'll tell you all about Tasha Yar. So anyway,
and at the time, this was supposed to be the send off for like that she deserved for Denise Crosby. This was supposed to be her last appearance on Star Trek.
Right, like let's kill her off.
Sela was not planned at this point.
Let's kill her off with style, like with some kind of meeting, some kind of drama, and like I think that's mission accomplished here. Even though it's not her, but it is. You know, it's kind of a funny way to go about it. Anyway, Adam, I would love to hear the facts about this episode, if you will.
Yeah, let's go. We have lots to talk about here. So,
sexy fun facts with Adam.
Sexy fun facts with Adam.
Justin, you gonna sing for me? No.
Sexy fun facts with Adam.
All right, let's go. All right. So listen, the original idea for yesterday's Enterprise was generated by a guy named Trent Christopher Ganaimo and submitted to Paramount on April 15th, 1989. This was done through an open submissions policy introduced by Micah Pillar that year. The document was logged on May 2nd and was read by Richard Manning. The original vision featured an appearance by Enterprise from the past in the Next Generation time period, and Picard having to face the resultant dilemma of what to do with that ship and whether to return it to its indigenous time period. In this version, the ship did not cause any changes in the future. Picard was forced to decide whether or not to reveal the crew's fate before sending them back. At this point, the captain of the past Enterprise was Richard Garrett, whose last name was derived from a pizzeria in Ganaima's hometown. At the same time,
his mother calls him Richard. Yes.
Yeah. At the same time, the following conversation with Denise Crosby at a convention, Eric Stillwell developed a story along with Ganaimo that would allow Tasha to return to the series after a 2-year absence. In this pitch, drawing from the classic Star Trek episodes, The City on the Edge of Tomorrow, or Forever, pardon me, and The Savage Curtain, and Mirror, Mirror, among others. A Vulcan science team would inadvertently cause the death of Surak, the founder of Vulcan philosophy, when a trip through the Guardian Forever into the Vulcan's ancient past goes wrong. That's what happened, and then Surak was killed. As a result, the Vulcan people would never become the logical race, as known in the Star Trek universe. Instead, a Vulcan race was much more akin to the Romulan Star Empire. This sounds really confusing. They probably couldn't have done this in 45 minutes.
No.
And became engaged in a war against other powers in the galaxy, including remnants of the Federation. As part of this alteration, Tasha Yar would be present among the Enterprise D crew. So that's how that all came together.
Well, it's so like I love how they did have this open like writer policy where you could submit stories at this era, because they got some, like, I think that's how Ronald D. Moore kind of got his first story. Like there's episodes that were just submitted by kind of nobodies, you know, and then they become these iconic episodes, you know. So
I agree, Norman.
Sometimes he says, sometimes I wonder if modern Trek should return to the open submissions process. Yeah, a number of the best TNG eras started there. Yeah, and this is, like we were saying, like considered one of the best episodes ever, and the writers didn't even think it up themselves entirely.
Yeah. When Stillwell pitched this idea to Michael Pillar suggested combining it with Ganaimo's Yesterday's Enterprise story, which also had developed a Tasha Yar element by this point, largely on the suggestion of Pillar, who also wanted a way to bring her back.
Imagine they had never brought her back if they had just left Tasha like with that final appearance in Skin of Evil and that had been it. Like, I don't know, it would be very different how we feel about that character, I think, you know.
The Vulcans were replaced by Klingons, and Surak plot timeline was replaced with the idea that Yar would fill in the absence aboard the Enterprise C after the death of Rachel Garrett. The finished storyline was done. With the exception of guidance present in the episode. That came later and was actually just really, really wrapped in really quickly. And I'll tell you about that in a minute.
That's a big thing to put in there quickly.
Yeah. Production of this episode was originally scheduled for after Christmas in 1990, in January 1990, following the Christmas hiatus. However, with the introduction of Guinan, the filming schedule needed to be moved up in order to accommodate both Crosby and Whoopi Goldberg. As a result, the pitch storyline needed to be turned into a teleplay over the Thanksgiving weekend of 1989 prior to the filming. So they basically had to write this in 4 days. So 4 members of the writing staff, Ira Stephen Bear, Ronald D. Moore, Hans Beimler, and Richard Manning, divided the episode amongst themselves to get it done on time. In particular, Moore was responsible for the Yar Castillo romance. Bear noted that the writers were unhappy about the timescale pressure and having to work over the holiday. They enjoyed the chance to write the episode far darker than they had done in the past, with a great deal of tension. Something that many of the staff felt that the series was lacking at this point. And Michael Piller added the final polish to the script, but it was agreed to be omitted from credit because of the Writers Guild only allowed for 4 writers' names to be listed.
Yeah, you guys worked over Thanksgiving. You can be on the credit.
Yeah.
What a bummer, though, to like not have your name on one of the all-time great episodes of TV.
He's all over it anyway. He's in there.
He's like a co-creator of Deep Space Nine, and yeah.
I know who he is, but like for me, I'd be like, hey, did you guys know that I wrote yesterday's Enterprise, but I gave everybody else the credit? You guys know that?
So generous of him. What, to make his staff work over the holiday, and then he was like, I'll take one for the team here.
Yeah.
So given the unusually rushed nature of the script, the writing staff were skeptical that the episode would work. Still, I recall many of the writers were not very happy with the script. They thought it was going to be horrible because they just didn't feel like they didn't have time to write it well.
Sometimes that's like lightning in a bottle, you know. It's just you get the right circumstances, you get a really good result.
Mm.
So on the production, Ronald D. Moore noted, "We brought Denise back to kill off Tasha Yar a second time. It was a great opportunity to send the character off with a big heroic sacrifice because nobody was really happy with the way she left."
Mm-hmm.
So in yesterday's Enterprise was a chance to kill her right. That's what he said.
Kill her right.
And I think they really did the character a lot better justice with this. She got to come in and shine and have a romance, and like you said, a heroic sacrifice, much more satisfying.
Yeah, when we were doing the original, the rewatch of season 1, like it really, to me, gave like apparentness of how bad she was written. Like, everything was just not. Like, she was not a character.
I'm in the penalty box, Captain. That's where you go when you're bad. I don't know. There was some bad stuff. Like, she's not in that many episodes, even of those. Like, she's in them, but she's not in them much. Like in all the cases.
Excuse me.
She's in some real stinkers, especially in that first season. Not her fault, but
yep. Time and budget constraints put an end to the much more gruesome climatic battle scenes, which were originally envisioned for the script. The only death to survive the broadcast was Riker's. Other than that, unfilmed included the decapitation of Wesley Crusher and the electrocution of Data.
The decapitation of Wesley Crusher would have been something. That would have been.
That could be an episode title in and of itself.
This would be like a senior thesis.
Yeah.
Does it talk about? Because I always read that Deanna Troy's not included in this episode, like in the alternate timeline, because the Klingons have destroyed Beta Z. You know,
I don't see anything to that point here, but let me just figure. Both Christopher McDonald and Trisha O'Neill was Captain Garrett, were Star Trek fans before appearing in this episode. I think Trisha O'Neill was actually a Klingon. I'm going to look at that up too. This is the second episode directed by David Carson. The first was The Enemy, and Carson would later direct Generations, the movie.
She's in two episodes of TNG, Trisha O'Neill. She plays Korak in some other episode. I don't know what the other episode is. She's also on Deep Space Nine one episode, on the episode called Defiant. Coronus.
I love that episode. Really good one.
This is the last episode which features all 9 of the original cast members, including Dana's in it. Yeah, so Denise Crosby and Will Wheaton both appeared in subsequent episodes, but never in the same ones.
You know, the other one I was thinking too about, like one that they rushed versus something that they would normally like try to write really careful. Like I remember like Ronald D. Moore and Brandon Braga, they wrote like All Good Things, the finale of the show, at the same time they wrote Star Trek Generations. And they definitely put way more effort into Star Trek Generations compared to like what they put into All Good Things. But then All Good Things is now celebrated as one of the greatest finales, like even episodes of the show. And, and so sometimes you can get a really good result, even though it's not like painstakingly crafted per se.
Mm-hmm. Norman says, remember that Sirtis was originally being considered to portray Tasha Yar. That's right. It was she was meant to be a Latina character named Macha Hernandez, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, you're right about that.
I'm
And
really
it was the other way
glad
around
that's
where
the way they did.
Denise Crosby was originally considered for Troy, right?
That's right.
The conference room was actually cut into two to serve as two apparently different rooms, where Guinan confronts Picard for the second time, and where Castillo meets Picard and Riker at the top of Act 4. Smaller versions of the conference room were created. The Enterprise models were removed, and a large tactical display was added. Dave, you called that out earlier.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I've got some other things just to cap up here.
That was her. Well, I was just reading so Trisha O'Neill, like she's in that episode where Dr. Crusher's working with that Ferengi scientist on the metaphysical shields or whatever, the metaphasic shields. You know that one? That there's a Klingon woman in that episode. That's Trisha O'Neill. That's the Captain Garrett.
Okay.
The uniforms used by the crew of the Enterprise C were in the original series without the collared undershirts. The version of the uniform would be reused in Jack Crusher and Family in 1990.
But he had the TNG comm badge in that.
Yep, and the insignia pins now double as comm badges, and the Type 2 phasers from Star Trek: The Motion Picture and Wrath of Khan were also used as a standard sidearm.
Yeah, look good.
Yep. What else I got here? In the hallway scene, Lieutenant Barrett can be heard paged. Although Barrett is a fairly common surname, it was established by the producers that this is an homage to Magil Barrett.
Is it Magil or Magil?
I think it's Magil.
Okay. Fun fact there.
Fun fact.
This is Quentin Tarantino's favorite at Next Generation episodes. In a radio interview, he explains how if he were to make a Star Trek film, he might have done it as a version of this story.
Well, he was teasing like he was going to make a Star Trek episode, but for a long time, but it was going to be like gangsters or something. And I don't know, or a piece of the action. There was a lot of different rumors about that. Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, he talks a lot.
He does.
A page for Dr. Solar can be heard in one sickbay scene. And she was the Vulcan.
Yeah, they paging Dr. Solar. Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
There's a call out in when they're in the first cafeteria style 10 forward. Somebody gets paged to cetacean observations,
nice.
Which is always a nice, or cetacean ops, which going to play with the dolphins is always fun.
Love it.
Cortisine. I think they gave Cortisine to the doctor when she was, getting treated. In fact, an overdose of Cortisine is what drove Dr. McCoy mad in the city on the edge of forever. By the time Next Generation came around, it had been improved and now appears as Tricortisine, without the fear of
I was just thinking about McCoy on the Cordrazine, what he would say.
Assassins! Yeah. That was a great episode. And this is the closest that Tasha Yar ever comes to wearing the updated Next Generation uniform.
Because she never actually does wear it, right? Like she wears this thing, which is not quite the updated TNG uniform, but close enough, I guess.
And if Tasha had remained aboard the alternate Enterprise D instead of transferring back to the Enterprise C, she would have died at the tactical station on the bridge during the Klingon attack at the end of the episode.
Right. She would have been standing where Riker was, and she would presumably have died. Yeah, that's right. So that's interesting that they left that put that in there. I never really put that together, but yeah, she was meant to die anyway.
Yep. And Captain Picard, played by Patrick Stewart, asked Captain Rachel Garrett, "What is the last thing you remembered when she wakes up from the alternate future?" In the alternate future, Professor Xavier, also played by Patrick Stewart, asked the same question to Wolverine at the end of X-Men: Days of Future Past, when Wolverine wakes up in the alternate future.
That's right. That's right.
Fun.
Yeah.
So with that one, I'll leave it there, Dave.
That was fun. That was very fun and
Thank you.
sexy.
Mhm.
And
And factual.
I liked it.
Actual.
Well, we got to that point where we're gonna give our score for the episode and rate it. Let's throw it up. I feel like it's gonna be high. We are talking yesterday's Enterprise. Like I'll go first. This is a 10, if not like a 10.1. It's amazing. It's great. So I'm leaving it there. Adam.
This is a 10 for me, but now I want to take down the Defector to 9.5.
Okay. Oh, what did I do there? Okay, 9.5. You leaving Deja Q at 10?
Yeah, that's perfection.
Yeah. All right, a 10 from Adam. Heather, or should I say?
This is an 11 for me. I love this episode, and you know what? Norman agrees with me. 11.
You do 11s?
I do
Listen,
11
I can do
sometimes.
Whatever I want.
This
Dave
one's
can
a
have a
11.
10.1.
I'm doing 10.1. Yeah, it's pretty good. Justin.
I'm gonna go with 10.2, Bob.
Well, you have the highest bid without going over. The winning bid was 10.4. Actually, it was 10.3. Anyway, so 10.3 is what we're averaging out of 10. On IMDb, this episode has a 9. Where are you? 9.2. So very highly rated, higher rated than Deja Q, and that kind of thing. So
And 6,800 reviews. That's a high for IMDb as well.
This episode is so people will just watch this episode and not even watch the rest of TNG. It's so good. And yeah, I think
we're heading into some really strong episodes now.
Well, yeah, we got The Offspring is next week, and then we're also going to be talking. I guess the other ones The Most Toys is a really strong episode. Sins of the Father, I love. And Menage a Troi is a fun episode. It's not like an epic episode, but it's a really fun episode.
Yes, it is. Anytime
Sarek?
Walksana shows up.
Yeah, and the best of both worlds, part 1, which in my opinion is the better of the two episodes.
Mhm.
I mean, look, you got Sins of the Father, Allegiance, Captain's Holiday, Tin Man. I love Tin. Nobody likes Tin Man, but I love Tin Man.
I like Tin Man. It's not my favorite, but I like it.
Captain's Holiday.
Captain
Jamal
Holiday.
Roan. Vash. Captain
Vash.
Picard on Rystad. Get it. Amazing. So
Mhm.
good.
Which one's Allegiance? I can't remember which one is Allegiance, but does anyone know it offhand?
Norman says we've now entered the golden age of next generation era that will last for over 10 years after this.
Oh, I remember Allegiance. Allegiance is the one where Picard is in that little jail cell with those 3 other aliens, remember? And then there's that alien impersonating him on the Enterprise. And,
Oh, that's not my favorite.
but it's fun. It's a really good episode too.
Yeah, it's a good episode.
And Hollow Pursuits is fun. I am the
Barkley.
goddess of empathy.
It's that one would make a great radio theater too. But
It was.
anyway, so we're looking ahead to, this was our final review of 2025. As we mentioned, we are going to be next time we're back, and we're still going to confirm exactly when that will be. We will be talking The Offspring from TNG season 3, episode 16, I think it actually is.
I adore this episode. This one's going to get another 11 from me, probably. It's so lovely. Hallie Todd does a fantastic job as Lal, and there's so many good things about this episode, and we'll get into that next time.
It always makes me cry.
Me too.
It's a really emotional one, so looking
Beautiful.
forward to breaking that down whenever we're back, maybe on New Year's Day, maybe not, depending on what we're feeling. So look out for that. Also, always check out our coverage of For All Mankind. We'll be back again Monday. We're almost done season 4. We'll up to season 4, episode 8, Legacy, on Monday. On what else we got? Adam's loving this season, by the way.
He does. Very enthusiastic.
Yeah. Also, look out in January. Well, guess what's coming out, everyone? Star Trek Starfleet Academy is debuting. We already did our trailer reaction, our clip reaction a little while back. You can go back and look at that. Leave your comments. Not that many of you have not. There's been many comments and many opinions expressed about the new Star Trek series. So, just give it a chance. Give it a chance. In 1 week's time, too, we have our Star Trek Radio Theater coming up. We're going to be doing Galaxy Quest on the evening of December 30th. I'm also doing an interview next Tuesday on the 30th in the daytime with Rick from Certifiably In-Game. It's a YouTube channel. They do a lot of like lore and canon around Star Trek. He uses a lot of Star Trek Online stock footage. I've been following his videos for many years now, so I'm excited to chat with Rick from the UK on Tuesday. Looking forward to that. And we're also talking to the Trek Yard guys about setting up a chat with them and a diplomatic conference. So look, lots of things happening here on Live Long and Podcast up until the new year and beyond. On our sister channel, the Super Mater Brothers podcast, we just finished reviewing an entire season of Survivor. It was Survivor 49. You can go and look at that and see Time is the Fire in Which We Burn. Survivor 50 coming up in February, which I know Adam's excited about. 50 seasons, Adam. Yeah. Anyway, so. All right. Well, with that, I think.
Nothing.
Yeah. Thanks to everyone in the comments, the panel here. Everyone's been with us all year.
Thanks everyone for joining us. The comment section was lit tonight. Thanks, chat.
Yes, thank you.
Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Holidays to all, and Happy New Year. And we'll see you next time here on Live Long and Podcast. You take care out there, and let's make sure that we never forget.
4. Attention all hands. As you know, we could outrun the Klingon vessels, but we must protect the Enterprise C until she enters the temporal
Happy
rift.
Festivus, Norman.
And we must succeed. Let's make sure that history never forgets the name Enterprise.
Enterprise.
Got out.
Beam up some Star Trek content with Live Long and Podcast. A roundtable movie discussion with Hey, did you see this one? And take a peek into the darkness with Heard Noise, Must Investigate with Michael Chan. Watch us duke it out on trivial debates. And let's chat about TV with the Super Mater Brothers. It's all here on the United Federation of Podcasts.